What happened to the salted rice bran, Mrs. Davis?
Oh, I did you a favor and threw away that trash.
Why are you crying, Helen?
Trouble busters!
How can a bath feel so nice? Oh, Mrs. Davis, welcome home.
Welcome home, my sweet ass, Helen. Why are you taking a bath?
What? Everyone's getting home late, so I took one first.
You really don't have any common sense, do you?
Huh?
Normally, Oliver, the breadwinner of the family, is the first to take a bath.
But Oliver's on a business trip and won't be coming back tonight.
Well then, I ought to be the one in next. You don't even understand that.
But you yourself told me you'd be home late, so...
Then wait for me, damn it.
Huh?
Can't you be considerate for once? You really are a failure as a wife.
I'm sorry. My name is Helen, and I am 35 years old. Both of my lovely parents have already passed away. I've been married for 5 years, and my lovely husband is 36-year-old Oliver. Currently, I live with my 55-year-old mother-in-law, Margaret Davis, in a house I inherited from my parents. This mother-in-law of mine is quite a connoisseur, to say the least. All right, dinner is ready. Let's eat. Bon appetit.
Wait a moment. I've been meaning to say this for a while now, but why are you always at the same table as us?
Huh? I really don't understand what you mean, Mrs. Davis.
You don't even know that? Your parents didn't educate you at all, it seems.
Huh?
Since you are the wife, it's only natural that you eat dinner after we have all finished eating. Huh? Should be common knowledge that a wife finishes up the leftovers after the rest of the family is finished eating.
What the heck is that?
Only common sense as a wife, dear.
I've never heard of such knowledge.
You and your damn parents.
This is outrageous. My parents have nothing to do with this.
That's the rule in our house. If you're going to be the wife of our family, follow our rules of the house.
What the?
Starting tomorrow, be sure to eat only the leftovers after Oliver and I have finished eating. Am I understood?
Yes, ma'am. In a nutshell, Mrs. Davis's criticism of me as her son's wife is terrible, but I distract myself from this reality by eating pickles. Actually, these pickles are of a traditional Japanese recipe and procedure, using salted rice bran as a base. This base was left to me by my deceased mother, which makes these a memento of sorts. Because of this, I think of Mom as watching over me from nearby and continuously did my best around the house. But one day, an incident occurred. Good morning, everyone. Huh?
Woke up quite late, did we, Helen? I took the liberty of making breakfast this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's all right, please. Help yourself.
Oh, these pickles are delicious, but the taste...
Really? I didn't think they were tasty, though.
But I like them because it tastes very similar to my late mother's pickles.
I used that pot of salted rice bran you have, Helen.
Wait, you used that without my permission?
That's right. And what's wrong with that? But we don't need that anymore.
What happened to the salted rice bran, Mrs. Davis?
Oh, I did you a favor and threw away that trash.
I was so shocked that I collapsed to the floor. To throw away, without my permission no less, the memento pot of a traditional recipe that my mother left me? I can enjoy darling Mom's taste no more. I have no allies left. These thoughts mercilessly cornered me into despair, and I broke down crying on the spot. Seeing this, Oliver, who had been silent up until that point, said something extremely hurtful.
Why are you crying, Helen?
Why am I crying? That's obvious, isn't it? My late mother's memento was thrown away without my knowing about it.
But it doesn't taste good, so it can't be helped now, can it?
They taste delicious. Even you thought these pickles were delicious when we first got married, Oliver.
At that time, I was just being considerate. I honestly didn't think the pickles were actually good.
What?
When it comes to pickles like this, my mom's recipe tastes so much better. Even more so, I think the pickles you could buy in supermarkets are still better than this.
How could you? Now that you're married into our family, you are to follow our family's customs. Of course, this applies to pickles, too. Be prepared to throw away everything that reminds you of home.
Oliver, who I thought could be my only remaining ally here, dogpiled me alongside his mother and started to diss my mother's pickles. I have no parents and no siblings. Even if I got divorced and moved out of the house, there is no guarantee that I would be able to live on my own. And I can't afford to leave home. It's frustrating, but I have no choice but to endure it.
Hey, Mom, I'll be home early today so we could go out to eat tonight.
Good idea. We had breakfast with disgusting pickles this morning, so I'd like to eat some actually delicious pickles tonight.
Shit.
You have my permission to eat the rest of these putrid leftovers, so you have them for dinner tonight.
Well then, I'm going.
I also have to go buy some clothes to wear to my class reunion next week, so let's head out together.
They both promptly left. I immediately vowed I could never forgive anyone who would trample on someone else's feelings that much. That's when,
Hello? Is anyone here?
oh, Grandma Priscilla.
Ah, Helen, my dear. Is Oliver here, or perhaps Maggie? Grandma. Oh dear, what's the matter, love? Did something happen?
As though everything I had been holding back had burst out, I told Grandma Priscilla what Miss Davis had told me up until that point.
Ah, I see. Well, that must have been so painful.
Granny, what should I do?
You do not have to put up with that, dear. Stay true to yourself and do what you think is right.
My heart became determined when I heard these words from Granny Priscilla. It's true, I'm very worried about getting divorced and living alone again, but I thought it would be easier than being with traitors like that, so I vowed to get back at them both with a vengeance. Unforgivable. Troublebusters, initiate! The next day, my mother-in-law continued to be sarcastic towards me.
Helen, you really don't want to follow our family's customs, do you?
Huh?
Today's breakfast was leftovers from yesterday, wasn't it?
Huh? Oh, are you talking about the curry, Mrs. Davis?
That's right. I cannot believe it.
No, curry is delicious even on the second day, Mrs. Davis. Not to mention Oliver loves that stuff.
No talking back at me. According to our family's customs, it is out of the question for the wife to serve leftovers. She must make fresh breakfast every day. Also, your way of cleaning the house and doing laundry simply won't do either. Are you actually listening? The thing that's worst of all is how you maintain relationships with the neighbors.
Huh? Things are going well with the neighbors, though.
Things are going well, my stupid ass. Have you any idea what the woman next door said to me the other day?
Who knows?
I was told that I was like a fossil adhering to old customs. It's no laughing matter. I don't care what other people think, but it's because you don't follow our family customs properly. That's what people around us will say eventually, too.
Your family customs, is it?
That's right. You're frickin' married to my son, the heir to our family, so just frickin' stick to our family's customs.
Before I frickin' stick to your family's customs, Mrs. Davis, why not follow common sense first?
Huh?
I thought it was so funny because you people who won't shut up about family customs don't even have the slightest sense of common sense.
How could you say that?
I only said what I thought.
That's extremely rude. What about us defies common sense?
You haven't noticed? Well, then allow me to inform you, Mrs. Davis.
Huh?
Firstly, table etiquette.
Table etiquette?
Assuming it's okay to eat with your elbows on the table, no way in hell is it allowed to stab your spoon into a bowl of rice.
But I don't do that.
It's not you, Mrs. Davis, but Oliver.
Oliver?
You really haven't noticed? Looks like you're so focused on criticizing me and my existence that you can't even look at your own son properly.
That's not true.
You don't have to believe it if you think you can't. However, since he's also been doing this outside the home, many people will probably think he's a guy without proper common sense.
That's why you, as his wife, have to do something about it.
That's what I thought too, and believe me, I warned him, but he wouldn't listen to me.
Well, even if that's the case, it's only natural that a wife should fix a husband's bad habits.
I thought so too, but you, Mrs. Davis.
What about me?
You often said that even that was a tradition in your family, and since it started before we got married, I ignored it, thinking it was probably an old tradition in Oliver's family.
What?
That's right, isn't it? He wouldn't be doing such a thing if it wasn't a family tradition after all.
That's not.
That's why I stopped paying attention and never pestered him about it. Haven't I become a little more suitable as your son's wife, Mrs. Davis?
Well, when it comes to the idea of following family customs, I suppose.
There are other things too. For instance, how you people throw away the trash.
The trash?
This is true for both Oliver and you, Mrs. Davis, but
what is it?
It's a little overboard to dig through the trash bags at the dumpster on the curb down the street.
What the? I'm not doing that.
Really? But we often receive complaints from neighbors, you see.
Eh?
They claim that you and Oliver are wreaking a little bit of havoc with the garbage in the dumpster.
Who the hell is claiming that we are?
Everyone in the neighborhood.
What?
I understand your curiosity regarding what other people in the neighborhood eat, but I thought you ought to be thinking about what others might think of you because of a particular action.
It's not like I'm asking for…
But this is another of your family's customs, right?
No.
Otherwise, I don't think anyone would do such a batshit insane thing.
It just happened to look that way when I was taking out the trash with Oliver. You must be frickin' crazy to believe such nonsense.
Have you ever taken out the trash?
How rude. Of course I take out the trash. You know, your lack of consideration is unacceptable, Helen. If someone were to say something like that, it would be normal to say that your mother would never do something like that.
I thought about saying that, but I thought it would be a shame to go against your family's customs, so…
There's no way in hell that's a custom of ours. Think about it and you'll understand how it can't be.
No, I will not understand.
What?
When I live together with you and Oliver, Mrs. Davis, it's quite common for what you deem to be common sense to be extraordinary to the rest of the world.
Why do you say that?
Because of that, even trying to deny it is just not possible.
That's nonsense. You're just saying that to try and back us both into a corner.
No. In that regard, I don't think I'm trying to do that.
Don't deny it, Missy, because I know you're definitely laughing inside. You really have a cruel character, Helen Davis.
Oh, I was laughing, sure. But as a wife, I had to follow the customs.
You've been talking about these customs for some time now, but have you ever followed our family's customs?
Your family's customs, Mrs. Davis?
And there you go again, acting like you don't frickin' know. I taught you many times, haven't I? Don't me. I've taught you all sorts of things, like when to take a bath and when to eat, but you've never done anything properly, have you? Are you listening to me? I think it's stupid for such a person who never really understood the customs to enthusiastically talk about them. You should still be awfully grateful to both Oliver and I for accepting you despite your stupid shortcomings. So what are you thinking, making fun of us, eh?
I believe I ought to be saying that, Mrs. Davis.
Huh?
You say it's your family's customs, but where is this family you speak of?
The frick are you on about now? The family that lives under this roof, of course.
There are no special customs in this house, though.
Excuse me, enough of this. I've told you so many times.
I check again.
This house's customs, are they not? What the hell is wrong with you?
This house has always been my home, Mrs. Davis. I don't remember making such customs under my roof.
What? This house is also Oliver's home, though.
No, the whole residence is in my name only.
That can't be. It's true that your parents may have built this house, but I personally told Oliver to change the name to include his as well.
I understand that, and I'm saying that Oliver's name is still not listed as an owner.
What?
Indeed, right after I inherited the house, Oliver pressured me to change the ownership to include him.
Don't tell me you refused.
No, at that time I thought it was right to also put it in my husband's name, so I thought it was okay to change the ownership too.
Then why? Why isn't Oliver's name listed as an owner?
The answer is simple. Oliver didn't want to do it because he was simply too lazy.
What?
When I explained the documents he needed to look through to change the name, he just said it was too much of a hassle and just threw the papers in my face.
This can't be. He told me he did it right.
Oliver himself also told me that. He asked me to tell you he went through with it despite him being too damn lazy to do anything.
No way. There's no way.
One of the rare occasions I genuinely thank Oliver's lazy-ass go-with-the-flow personality.
What does all this mean?
Simply put, once again, this house is my house. That's why your customs will never be prioritized here.
How could you?
Some moxie you have, Mrs. Davis, for enforcing your damn stupid customs in a house that isn't even yours.
But Since you were the wife of the family, it's only natural for you to follow the customs of our household.
Look, as I said earlier, it's not our household. It's my household.
That doesn't matter. You are the wife.
It is certainly so. However, if you want me to follow the customs of your household, can I request that you buy the house yourselves before enforcing upon me?
Don't get so cocky, girl.
I'm not getting cocky, Mrs. Davis. I'm merely saying what you yourself told me. Could you please not talk back to me?
What?
Don't talk back to me when you can't even follow the correct customs.
Yes, that's right.
Then don't talk back at me.
I am so lost right now. The hell do you want to say?
I'm telling you that people who can't follow our family customs don't have the right to talk back to the master or mistress of the house.
Huh?
This is my house. My family also has customs. You, Mrs. Davis, alongside your son Oliver, aren't adhering to these customs, so don't talk back to Helen Davis.
Why do I have to adhere to your stupid customs?
This is my home. If that's the case, then we must follow the dominating family's customs, right? You believed this house to be under your son's name, which was why you tried to set some rules to control me. But actually, this house was mine all along. In that case, wouldn't it make lots of sense to follow my family's customs?
No.
Moreover, the customs of my family at home are quite simple.
What are they?
Do not, by any means, cause trouble to other people. That's all.
Are you saying we're causing trouble?
Yes, I am. The garbage dumpster is a perfect example, isn't it?
That's a misunderstanding.
Well, there are quite a few people who misunderstood because they complain about it often.
So everyone is wrong.
Isn't that a bit unreasonable, Mrs. Davis?
Then is there any proof that Oliver and I were scavenging?
I admit that's certainly not the case.
Then you wouldn't know that we were causing trouble to those around you, right?
So that's how you attack me next, eh? Well, it's true that I can't prove anything about what the neighbors say.
Right, then don't complain to me.
However, it's definitely causing me trouble, isn't it?
What?
You won't let me eat properly.
That's because, as a wife,
that's only your family's custom, Mrs. Davis, and my family condemns such unreasonable customs at home. My family custom is that everyone eats together, gets along well.
Shit.
Honestly, I'll put up with the food and bathing issues.
So everything's fine then.
But the psychological abuse you've inflicted together with Oliver, that I cannot tolerate.
That was all to properly raise you as a wife.
It's impossible for someone without common sense to raise anyone, wouldn't you agree?
What?
Have any objections?
That kind of thing disqualifies you as a wife, Helen.
Huh?
I simply taught you customs that have been important to me since time immemorial. Important to me, meaning that it was something that everyone I loved had been doing for a long time, and you made fun of that, didn't you?
I didn't make fun of that.
Yes, you frickin' did! In fact, you just said something along that line now, didn't you?
I believe you misunderstood, Mrs. Davis.
Huh?
I also believe that it is important to take care of the breadwinner of the family, my husband Oliver.
Huh?
I also think it's important to respect and cherish the mother of such a person, too.
Then why are you making fun of the customs?
It's not the customs that I'm making fun of, ma'am.
Eh?
I'm making fun of you and your son.
Huh?
Don't you think so? You claim that customs are important and you enforce them upon the wife of the family to the point that it becomes harassment, you see?
I'm not bullying you.
Then why did you throw away that pot of salted rice bran?
Because, I thought it was trash.
You knew I cared about it so much, didn't you? You knew it was a treasured keepsake of my late mother, didn't you?
I didn't know that.
That can't be true. Right after I got married to Oliver, I told you all about it, remember?
This is all new to me.
Then answer me this. Why did you make pickles using that pot?
Huh? Because it was there.
I carefully stored it in a secluded part of my room, Mrs. Davis. It was definitely not stored in a place where you could easily see it. How did you find that prized memento of mine?
That's what I'm telling you. I just saw it.
You couldn't find it unless you carefully looked around for it. You definitely looked for it intending to throw it away.
Ugh.
There is no purpose that I can think of that motivated you to search it other than to harass me.
But
that's enough about that. I decided not to care anymore.
then everything's fine, right? How dare you chastise me when you never cared?
This is not what I'm chastising.
Huh?
I'm chastising the sheer ridiculousness of some people enforcing their own family's customs in a house that isn't even their own.
How?
Because it's true, isn't it?
Even though it's not your house, you call it your house. And in the end, you're bullying the true owner of the house. I seriously didn't know that.
The claim that you didn't know about it doesn't matter. You know now, and you will be held responsible.
I'll be held responsible?
Yes. Get out of this house.
What?
It's a nuisance for me if we live together. Get out of this house.
Why do you have to tell me to get out?
I'm the owner of this house. According to my family's customs, if I decide that I can't live with people under the same roof, I have the right to kick them out.
What the hell?
My household custom, dear Mrs. Davis. And since I, the owner and landlord, have made this decision as is, move out.
There's really no need to say such things so suddenly. There must have been some kind of misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding, you say? Looks like the vermin don't admit to their wrongdoings. Now I've decided completely. Leave this house now.
But what will happen to Oliver then?
I'm getting divorced.
What the?
Yeah, so you'll also be a stranger to me, and I can't afford to live with strangers.
Now, hold on. I'm sorry, Helen, I apologize, so please reconsider this decision.
Looks like the vermin have finally realized that she was being forced into a dangerous situation. But your apology is rejected.
We'll come to terms if we just talk, right?
Shut up. Get out of this house now. Perhaps the message got across very well, or perhaps the vermin were rather weak-minded in the end. They both moved out the very same day. My divorce with Oliver was very successful, and I've severed all ties with the Davises. After that, since Oliver's salary wasn't all that high to begin with, the two of them were able to get by because they didn't have to pay rent. But now that they have to rent an apartment that isn't free, their life together is now quite tough. As for me, my mother's Memento salted rice bran pot actually turned out to be safe and sound. When Granny Priscilla stopped by that day, she was so kind as to go to the garbage dump and bring it back to me. On the way to the house, she had thought it strange that a splendid pot had been thrown away and picked it up and brought it back with her. I was able to eat some more delicious pickles later on for lunch with Granny Priscilla. Trouble Busters!